All right, the sixth principle for planning a life-giving church is, write this down if you're taking notes, is what we call the wow, W-O-W, the wow factor. Wow. The wow factor. Look at the little second byline there, or the little line underneath the main line. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Okay, so here, let's go back. We prayed. We built a team, found a location, got money, we marketed, and now they're here. So now we are on launch Sunday. So point number 6 has us now to the day itself. And we want to share with you some principles that we're learning about how to create a great weekend experience that people will actually come to and then return to. Let me start right off the bat by saying that we believe that the goal of your Sunday services should be simply for people to come back. Just make that your goal. You just want them to come back. So you're not trying to heal their marriage and get them all delivered and everything all in one day. You just want them back. If you get them back, you get a lifetime to do all those things. So change your mentality. I think we've had church services that is the slam dunk, let's try to do everything we do all in one event. I'm not sure that's the best goal. The goal is just to get them to come back. You want to earn the right to have a lifetime of ministry to them and their families, all right? So you got to change what you think Sundays are all about. Now, this has been a challenge for us in the Ark because we have churches that want to hold to an old model that has Sundays doing things that we don't feel like is the role of Sundays to do. We simply want to create experiences where people will come back, and we use our other types of meetings and small groups and different things to accomplish the ministry goals that most churches are trying to accomplish on Sundays. And I'm just saying to you, you kind of need to change the paradigm. This is one of those that has a major paradigm shift in it, okay? So we see Sundays not as the slam dunk ministry expression. We see Sundays as the place that earns us the right to have them in other places where those things take place. So we are just trying to have an attractive service that does minister to people, but it's still not that slam dunk, everything all in 1 hour type of deal, okay? So we have a different approach. We have the same approach that great businesses and entertainment industries have. I mean, there's a reason why Main Street Disney looks the way it does. There's just a reason why. There's a reason why you can't find a piece of paper on the ground. There's a reason why. There's a reason why they treat you the way they treat you. And, there's a reason why. Because from the second they enter your parking lot, they begin making impressions about you. And successful churches understand the lasting nature of those thoughts they have, and they make quality decisions because they realize people matter. So people are making decisions the second they come on your property or to your school or wherever you're at. And you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So what are we going to do about that? Let me give you 8 things that I would encourage you to do to create what we call the wow experience or the wow factor. Number 1, you need to know why. Know why is the blank there. Know why the unchurched actually are. In other words, people this Sunday are not going to go to church in our country. You know that? There's a lot of people not going. Do you know why? If you don't know why, you can't get them there. So I'm just saying you have to educate yourself. If you're going to create a wow experience, you got to understand why they're not coming in the first place or why they're not coming back. If you don't know that, how are you going to fix it? That's a good question, I think, Chris. That's a good question, Chris. All right, you're not going to know. So do you know? And most people don't know because they haven't taken the time to study it or whatever. You need to know. Now, let me give you a few reasons that are generalizations, and then you need to find the specific ones to your area again. And one of the reasons why they don't come is because the experience itself is boring. That's the blank. Boring. The services are boring. In other words, they go and it just wasn't that good. And they weren't engaged. And I mean, remember, they don't love you yet. So they're not going to come back if it's boring. Here's the second reason is that the members are unfriendly. The people they engaged with were mean, didn't talk to them, or, fussed at them, or rude to them. And we haven't trained our church in guest relations. I mean, you have to train your team and your people and your congregation in this continuing. You can ask the people who go to church here. I never stop talking about that, about we don't exist for us. We exist for the people who are not here yet. And when they get here, how to treat them. And I coached our church before Easter. I said, look, I know we're gonna have twice the number of people that normally come here on that weekend. Do not honk your horn at them. Do not fuss at them apart. These are our guests. I mean, I trained our church in that. I said, I know you're ready to get out of the parking lot, ready to go home, but I need everybody to understand. We got people here making decisions about us. I looked at them. I said, I told my church, asked my pastors, I said, be nice. Be nice. And they laughed and they got the message. All right? You have to train your church and how to be friendly because you just have to. Train your launch team. One of the things that reasons, this is a bona fide study, showed that a lot of people do not go to church because they believe that the church doesn't want something for them. They want something from them. The church just wants my money. That's the blank, my money. So what do you have to do? Well, you have to dispel that myth. Well, how do you dispel that myth? Don't ask for it. Every Sunday, it's been 9 years straight. When we get to the offering time, I said, there is no offering message for you. There's no, I said, in fact, if you're a guest, we'd be more comfortable if you didn't give nothing at all. We wanted this service to be our gift to you. We didn't want anything from you. We wanted something for you. I said, now a bunch of our people are getting ready to give just because we call this place home. I said, if the God lays that on your heart, just obey God. You don't ever have to listen to me. Just listen to God. That's what I say every Sunday. And they give and give and give and give because they are, I'm telling you, they're convinced. They think you want something from them. So just dispel that myth by the way you act in church. And then they're very interested in what's going to happen to their kids. That's the last blank, their kids. And that we'll talk about that in a minute, but they are very concerned about that. This generation cares very much what happens to their children. Okay? That's the first thing. You have to know why. So the first step of being a wow church is to educate yourself on why you're either not a wow already or why other churches are not wow. Why are people not going to church? There is a reason. Find out. Second thing, and that is you need to impress them within the first 10 minutes. Impress them within the first 10 minutes. Now, this one's the most discouraging one on the list for me because I don't even get there. I don't even get to say anything until about 30 minutes into the service, and I'm the best part, right? No, I mean, right? But the truth is, they have already made decisions long before I even show up on the stage, which means how we handle them in the parking lot, how the registration process for their children was, and the music is critical because they're making decisions early, not late. They make them first. And you do the same when you go somewhere. You're assessing the environment immediately. Well, people do the same with your church. So you have to give a lot of attention to those first impressions, is all I'm trying to say. Give lots of attention to those first impressions. Number 3, with that in mind, then it makes sense then to put energy and resources into great praise and worship. It needs to be great. I always tell church planners, you do not have to be everything. You do not have to have a killer youth group, women's ministry, small groups, picnics. They don't do any of that. They don't expect that from you. There are 2 things you have to be great at first day. And that is kids and music. You don't have to be great at everything, but you have to be, those, in my opinion, those 2 you cannot miss it on. And if you can't nail that first time around, wait. Just wait. Just put it off till you get a great worship experience, and you have to take care of children, which is number 4. Children's ministry is the blank there. Children's ministry needs to be all 4 of these, not 3, definitely not 2 or less. It needs to be well-staffed, safe, clean, and fun. All 4. So when you're building your children's teams, ask your launch team meeting, ask them, man, do we have enough people in there? Because I'm telling you, a mom comes in and they start doing ratios. I've been doing this I've been doing ministry 26 years. Moms show up in nurseries and they're looking at the kid to adult ratio. Well staffed. It needs to be safe. They want to know that the check-in system is safe, that there's not going to be any abductions going on. There's no way the kids can escape. They're assessing all that. And you need to do that, especially in portable environments like high schools, because they're already a little nervous because this is not an official nursery, or an official, so they're a little nervous. But there needs to be signs where there's security and there's safety, and they see that the check-in system and even checking out. Don't just turn a kid loose because they said mommy. I mean, match that number and safe. It needs to be clean. Don't put somebody's baby on a dirty floor. Just keep it clean. Keep it clean. And then obviously it needs to be fun. If that kid shows up in the car and they've had fun, I'm telling you, you can preach bad about mama. If they come in their car and say, Mommy, can we make this our church? They will come back, I promise you. And so we asked ourselves, what do we have to do? So we don't try to teach them the whole Bible in one Sunday. And a lot of churches have other goals like that. I believe in it, but that's not the main goal. You never get a chance to teach them the Bible if they don't come back. Right. Number 5 has to do with your sermon, which we do not use that term. We call them messages. Deliver messages. By the way, we don't call them sermons because I only got one of those when I was in trouble. Okay, we don't want people aren't in trouble. Today, my sermon today is don't preach to people and don't give them a sermon. Give them a message. I think it just clean it up a little bit, make it a little more put a positive spin on it. And your messages need to be all 5 of these things. They need to be interesting. Go figure. It needs to be clear. It needs to be relevant. It needs to be entertaining. And it needs to be biblical. All 5. Say, really, Chris, entertaining? Go look up the word in Webster's. It says to capture and hold one's attention. So let me ask you, does it need to be entertaining? Yeah, absolutely. So you've got it. I put together a creative team, did it since day one, to create great message experiences that are memorable for people. And you need to do the same, which, by the way, once again, ARC and all of its lead team churches offer their messages, their content, their their video openers, the creative stuff to our church plants. We supply you with that so that first year when you're working hard and unpacking trailers and meeting people, you don't have to spend the same amount of hours in sermon prep as we do. We'll give you resources that make you look like a church of 10 years old on day 1. And I encourage you, do it. Go find the best message series from all of these different guys and use their material and put your own personal spin on it. But show up with an excellent product day 1 so that you can have those 5 things when you deliver a message. I'm helping you create a wow experience. Are y'all following me, everybody? All right? All right. The 6th thing is we talked about this in point 1, so I won't talk about it a lot, but prayer teams need to be covering the services. Prayer teams. So, again, take the spiritual side serious. Have them praying during services. Number 7, visitors should be greeted warmly, but in our opinion, allowed to remain anonymous. Now, that's from studies that have been shown that people say they want to come to church, but they do not want to be recognized. Now, the old school system has you raising your hand, or really old school putting a ribbon on you, or even more current school, go out to our foyer and pick up a packet, or we want to give you a free gift out in the foyer if you'll come. They don't want to do that. They do not want your free gift. They want to check you out anonymously, and they want the freedom to do that. So let them. So we say, tell them, if you're a visitor here today, we are not going to recognize you in any way. We're just glad you're here. In fact, if you are here, we're going to give you what we call the hassle-free guarantee. And that is, if you don't mind, all of our members fill out these little connection cards that we have to give us updated information, to give us prayer requests. Most of our members fill out every single week. If you do it, let me tell you what's not going to happen to you. And that is no one's going to call you. No one's going to come by your house. One single thing will happen. I'll send you a letter just telling you thanks for coming. It's a safe card to fill out. No one's going to bug you. And by the droves, they invite their friends. And by the droves, people fill these out. And it's in the letter that we kind of give the hard sell, what we want you to do next. Because letters are they could hate it and just throw it away and not have to hurt anybody's feelings. If you knock on their door or call them, they have to hurt your feelings to say no. But if you send them a letter, they can just wad it up and they didn't have to hurt anybody's feelings to say no. So you can be as direct as you want in a letter that you could never do, in my opinion, face-to-face or on the phone. And again, study after study shows that they just don't want you to do that. Again, because the goal is to get them to, if they come back, the percentage, if they come to the second service, the percentage of them staying is double what it was that first Sunday, quadruple on the third Sunday, And almost you got them if they come back 4 Sundays in a row. So why not just make your new goal just to get them to come back for 4 Sundays, and then you have them. You don't need any follow-up. You follow up on them by respecting them and not treating them. Those methods worked in the past. They don't work that way anymore. And here's how I prove it. Does there anybody in this room enjoy it when you're at home on a Sunday afternoon taking a nap or watching a football game or a golf tournament, and you love it when that doorbell rings from somebody you do not know? Raise your hand if that's you. I mean, I've still never met anybody, and we do it. We do it. Hello. All right, just don't do that, all right? So, and they actually like it when you tell them you won't. Here's what we're not going to do. That's what I tell our visitors. Let me tell you what we're not going to do for you. And they like that so much more than that other stuff. All right. Number 8 is the final point is, in everything focus on excellence. Excellence. In everything focus on excellence. And I learned this in business school because excellence creates comfort. Excellence creates comfort. I was in a marketing class in college, and they actually said that the reason why people return to businesses is not because of price or they got a good deal. But if people go to the grocery store they shop at or whatever, not for price, they do it because they know where everything is, and there's a comfort level there. The obvious next question is, what is the number one factor that creates comfort? And the answer was, in this study, excellence. When things are done well, people think you know what you're doing, and they like it. And so in everything, focus on excellence. Here's the critical question, and then we'll have a little Q&A, and that is, what will people talk about on the way home? What are they going to say about you when they get in the car? And you've got to make sure you're determining what they talk about. You got it? All right, let's talk it out just a little bit.
Okay, that was awesome. I want to add a couple of things because a good analogy that I thought was good in that. The main thing is this, is if you do everything good and they like everything that you do, they will invite everybody they know. Because they know that everybody they know is looking for a life-giving experience at church. And once they find it, they're going to go tell everybody they know. And you won't have any problem growing. What you have to realize, and I like to talk about the showroom floor experience. If you're ever into an automobile dealership and have them try to finesse you and manipulate you to get you to do stuff that you just don't like, that happened to me one time, and I told the guy, I said, number one, he said, let me go get my business card. And I said, because I told him I wasn't ready to buy yet, and he brought his sales manager with him instead of. And I said, well, first of all, you lied to me. You told me you were going to go get your business card, and you brought your sales manager, and now you're trying to close me out in the parking lot on a car that I don't even want. I said, I promise you one thing, I'll never set foot on this parking lot again. And I never did. So if you make people feel that way by trying to finesse them, trick them,
that's right,
they'll never come back because it's happened to them too many times. They don't have to go through that.
Let me give you an illustration while you're there, Billy. It's like altar calls. If you want to receive the Lord today, we say, just raise your hand. Just raise your hand. We're saying just raise your hand. Okay, if you raise your hand, just go ahead and just stand up where you are. Just stand right up. Stand. Okay, just come forward. Okay, just go over into this room and. No, if you want to get saved, we're going to take you to a room. Who wants to get saved? I mean, if you're going to do it, say it. I don't have a problem with it, but don't, like he says, don't finesse people. That's disrespecting them, and they know they're being trapped, and they're not going to come back.
They hate it, and it's offensive. But here's the thing: the Holy Spirit is the one who saves people, not you. And if you will respect them enough and their dignity enough to allow them to respond to the Holy Spirit, they will do it, and He's better at it than you are anyway. Because let me tell you this: what you're not selling Jesus on Sunday mornings. He is not for sale. He is not a product. He is not a commodity. You can't buy Him. You can't sell Him. Here's the deal: what you're selling is your model of Christianity. And if they will buy into what you do on Sunday morning, they will find the maker. Because they'll come back enough times to hear the gospel that sooner or later their hearts will be turned toward God and they will find Christ. Secondly, is
Tell them
that
about the parts department. Finish that showroom thing.
I'm gonna go. Secondly, is that you don't do everything that you know how to do on Sunday mornings.
That's right.
In other words, you don't preach, have prophecies, cast out devils, get people delivered from drugs. No. There is another department. The showroom floor is where you present the best possible view. And I'll give you an example of that. We were in London with John Maxwell at the opening of Equip in Europe, and Brother Chris was with us and all. We walked into a Rolls-Royce dealership.
Yes.
And I mean, we were overwhelmed with the beauty, the excellence, the history of it, the quality of the products, and they treated us all like we were multimillionaires.
They did.
Like we could buy a Rolls Royce. And I never forget sitting in a silver cloud, and I closed the door. And when the door closed, it wasn't like clank, it went whoosh, like I was in a bank vault or something. And I had this impression, Lord, let's build 3 tabernacles right here. I mean, it's like I was on the Mount of Transfiguration or something. I did not want to leave. But as I was leaving, the thought occurred to me, if I had this, my life would be so much better off. And that's what you want to do on Sunday mornings. When they walk in, they're going to say, oh, wow,
Whoosh.
I didn't know church could be like this. If I had this in my life would be so much better. Now, when you need to be fixed, Sunday morning is not the place. My wife drives a Hummer, and she went to the dealership. She didn't drive up on the showroom floor to get the engine, the engine fixed. No, she went around back in a private place where no one could see the oil and the dirty works and the broken parts, and it was fixed back there. So Sunday morning is strictly for that unbelieving audience that you're trying to reach. And it's also not a time for someone else to come in and do their thing at your expense. And don't let wild, crazy people hijack your Sunday mornings because they want to, use their gift in front of everybody. That's not a time for that. They need to go to the service department, if you ask me. But anyway,
But they never get a chance. You can never get a chance to take people to the service department if they never bought the car.
yeah, exactly. In other words, people say, well, y'all are a mile wide and an inch deep. Well, guess what? We do have a shallow end, but we also have a deep end. Okay? We have a shallow end, and that's for people who don't know how to swim yet. But then we have a deep end for people who do know how to swim. And here's the thing. If you can't get them to Sunday morning and find Christ, you'll never get them to the deep end. You'll never lead them into a deeper life with Christ if you can't get them to buy your model on Sunday mornings. So no matter what your background is, figure it out. Or you'll be a church of 40 people 10 years from now.
Well, that's the deal is the proof will be in.
Look, I've had people tell me, they said, look, man, we want a denominational group, smaller, movements. That we want to plant churches. I said, okay, what kind of church you want to plant? I said, well, we don't plant churches like ours. I said, well, how many people average do you have in church? Well, our church is about 50 to 70 people. I said, you want to plant churches of 50 to 70? Well, no, we want to plant churches like y'all's. I said, but you just told me you want to plant your model and get our results. Yeah, that's what we want. I said, doesn't work. Now, if you want to plant our model, we'll teach you how to do it. I had one of the major denominations in America tell me, hey, we want to put all of our church planters through your training, but we would like to take some of our components and put that in your basic training, which is a week-long training. And I said, no. He said, well, looked at me, said, well, why not? We're talking about 500 churches a year. I said, no. He said, why? I said, because General Motors has had 40 years to build a Toyota, and they hadn't done it yet because it's not in their DNA. It's not in their culture. And so unless you're willing to come into our culture and get some of our DNA, it may not work. So figure out the showroom floor, what it should look like, and go to some more churches and see what they do.
Right.
And I promise you, you'll be able to lead more people into a deeper experience, specific, empowering, unique experiences with the Holy Spirit that you could never do otherwise unless you protect that one service a week.